Here in the pits at Elko Speedway with Michael Beamish's uncle, Mike Beamish, Hall of Famer at Elko Speedway. Hello.
Yeah, hi there.
Now, tell me a little bit about your history. I know you come from a big racing family.
Yeah, like I told you earlier, I'm the oldest of six. 5 of which are boys. All are involved in motorsports in some way, shape, or form. And that was all brought to us from our father, who started dragging us around the racetracks when we were just old enough to walk, basically. But Elko Speedway has been a home for me since about 1966. And that was just when we got our driver's licenses. And driving to Elko Speedway was from out of St. Paul. It was kind of like driving to Duluth, in those days. So today it's not quite so bad. So
when you first started racing here, what were the cars and what were the divisions like?
There were basically only about 3 divisions back then. There was a late model sportsman and a hobby stock. The late model division is equivalent to what we've got today. The sportsman class was similar to our limited late model, but the bodies at that time, let's say, were 57 Chevys. And then we raced a hobby class that was, again, 55, 6 Chevys. No Fords ever, so just a whole bunch of 55 Chevys with no front fenders. So,
who were some of the names of the people you raced with back then?
Well, the division I raced in, it's still Mark Lamoureux, and Mark is still racing today. He and I started together in '69. But in the super late class or the late model class, it was the obvious. It was the Norm Cetra and Danny Shabrowski. And later, as I progressed into classes, I was fortunate enough to race against Trickle and Refner. At the time, it seemed like they were no better than me, that they put their pants on one leg at a time. But hindsight being 20/20, Dick Trickle is Superman. So there's he's made different. He's cut from a different cloth.
And then the facility itself, of course, now the grandstands are much larger. But how about the track itself? Has that changed a lot?
The original track didn't have any walls around it. And it was really nice because if you got up and off the track, you weren't having to reclip a car, But through the years, Phil Stewart changed the track and put concrete around it and put more banking in it. And then when Tom Ryan bought the track in 2000, it had the total makeover. And it's a whole different racetrack today. And this is by far one of the nicest facilities in the United States.
Yeah, and you've traveled around quite a bit. As far as the car counts, now there's 7 divisions of cars. You said there was 3 divisions back then. What are the car counts like now compared to then?
I'm too old to remember. So, I have to say it's comparable because we used to have 30 and 40 car fields at that time in each class, and even 10, 15 years ago, we had 2 classes, 2 features of like the power stocks. So, but the cars have gotten so expensive. It's chased a lot of people out of the sport, and the actual car count at Elko is surprising relative to the cost of racing today.
And I know you've kept real involved with the racing with Northern Racing Products, and also, with the 40 car as well. I mean, you're keeping your hand in it.
Yeah, it's Michael's first effort in a big car. He ran a few years over at Raceway Park in a short tracker and had success. And we've just, the car itself is a car that I built for a customer back in 2005, and they eventually quit racing. And we had a chance to buy the car at a real good price. And since then, we've updated it quite a bit. It's a pretty good hot rod.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the racing now? I mean, you look in the pits, you see all these people, and you see people heading to your trailer every night. It's pretty cool to be involved with this.
Well, racing's always been exciting. It's a big adrenaline rush, even for the guys that get to work on the cars. But it's what concerns me is the expense, but that can't be helped. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, it's always the constant is the fans. I mean, we've always had a real passionate group of fans here at Elko.
Very much so. We're very fortunate in that respect.
And another thing, I know you've traveled around a lot too, and the thing that I notice when I come here is after the races, so many fans come to the pits and talk to the drivers, and you don't see that everywhere.
Well, for the drivers themselves, I've always said there's 3 aspects to racing. First is the mechanical aspect of it. You get to take and prove your mechanical skills and abilities against your fellow competitors. The second is the driving. And the third part, which is equally as important as the other 2, is the social atmosphere at the racetrack. And just competing against people on their best day and competing against people who you value their friendship and beating them or losing to them, you know, it has a lot of reward for a competitor at the end of the day.
It's a big rush, and you never forget that. One last thing, just thinking about your career of all your years racing and wrenching on these cars, do you have one memorable moment? Most memorable?
Yeah, probably the night I got hauled out of here in an ambulance. The configuration of the track changed in it didn't change probably till 74 or 5. But in 73, I put a car into what was the old pit exit, and it was basically a head-on collision. The track used to exit at the end of the front straightaway, and I had a throttle that stuck, and we hit an abutment, and it basically folded the car up in half and gave me an ambulance ride. And it wasn't until they almost killed Bobby Allison here a couple of years later that they actually changed the configuration of the track. So myself, Dick Giles, a couple others, we weren't valuable enough to bring a change to the configuration of the track. But when you almost kill Bobby Allison, that's big news.
Wow.
So,
and a lot of people would have left, and you're still around.
yeah, I just don't know any better. Keeps me young.
Well, we invite everyone to come out to Elko Speedway on August 1st as we celebrate our 50 years of racing. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.